Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my series on Calvinism. I'm going to be covering the second point of Calvinism today. So, quick recap. Of course, Calvinism, this geezer, and we got a good friend here, the Holy Apostolic Ceiling Fan. So, as I said, we did total depravity last time, so I'm moving on to unconditional election, which is the second point of Calvinism. In the first video, I think I said that these were the 5 points of Calvin, which I suppose technically isn't wrong, but that's just not what they're called. So I apologize about that. Anyway, so I've written a little summary here that I ripped straight off of Google. So unconditional election can be summarized as God predestines the elect as evidenced by subsequent faith, not based on actions, works, or decisions made by the individual. Now, I'd like to reiterate that first part, that God predestines the elect, and it doesn't have anything to do with what that person does. It's already decided before they're even created. And that will become important later. So, I'd like to bring up this part of John's Gospel. So this is John 1:12-13. And the reason I bring this up is because upon research, this is a passage that Calvinists use as evidence for unconditional election, or at least that's what I've seen online. So it goes as such, but to all who received him, all who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of the will of man, but of God. Now, I've left out some bits in there, but this is the general gist. So, the reason Calvinists like to bring this up is because it says in order here that all who received him, that being Jesus or God, and all who received him being first, and then second, you get he gave power to become children of God. So you have to receive the Lord, i.e., things are predestined before you, and then also this bit at the end that I kept in the quote because it also supports the Calvinist position, which is not of the will of man but of God. So God decides it before you do. Now, as a Catholic, I have to give my perspective based on Catholic teaching, which is that we interpret this a little different. This part, the first chapter of John's Gospel, is talking specifically about Jesus's earthly ministry. So all who received him is all who met Jesus, effectively, all who heard him preach and all who were in the room with him and prayed with him and ate with him, etc. Obviously, that would be the first bit, and then there's a qualifying bit here, which is all who believed in his name. So the Catholic perspective is that you choose to believe once you have seen the Lord, and then he gives you power to become one of the children of God. So the Catholic view on that is that it's not God predestining it. He gives you the opportunity. He appears before you, whether in the flesh or through some miracle or through however you come to God, and then you choose whether or not you want to believe in his name or whether you are convinced by it. So then this bit here, not of the will of man but of God, can simply be interpreted as I believe it is by most Catholics, at least the ones that I've spoken to and have learnt from. This is just simply referring to how God creates everything, and as such, we didn't will ourselves into existence. God does that. That's not necessarily proof of double predestination, just a general state of being. Now, I'd like to bring up this part of Numbers, so Numbers 16:27 and Numbers 16:33, as a sort of parallel to my ladder and claw metaphor from the last video. So Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrance of their tents. They went down alive into Sheol. So Sheol is hell, as I've depicted there. And this part of Numbers is about the Israelites, some of the Israelites rebelling. And so from the Catholic perspective, this is obviously these Israelites, and there are a few with them as well, choose to stand against God by their own free will, and as such, they are punished. They are sent to hell. So that is the general Catholic view on this, and the Calvinist view, if we are to be believed of what Calvinists say about unconditional election, but also this verse, these two verses rather, of John's Gospel, that would mean that God in this instance is taking these Israelites, and because He has decided before their creation that they will sin, that He has predestined them to go to hell. So He's brought them into the world. I said this in the last video, but He has brought them into the world only to then have no decision as God decides whether they are part of the elect or not, and then they are sent down alive in Sheol to suffer for all eternity. So that makes it that seems to be a little more. I think I said sinister in the last video. I think that's a fairly good word to describe that. Any Calvinists, please correct me in the comments. But I wanted to bring up this little. I wanted to bring up this. I suppose you could call this a diagram. Here is my the metaphor for the video. So here we have the Catholic perspective, which is obviously this way to Sheol and this way to heaven, effectively, or perhaps purgatory and then heaven. And so the Catholic perspective being, no matter how nice the the sign to hell might be, that we'd hope that we'd choose the other way as followers of Christ and such. And then you have then you have the Holy Apostolic Sealing Fan here, deciding that this person, whether they wear the cross or not, doesn't matter. They have been predestined, that they're not part of the elect, and so they only have one option, and that's to go to Sheol, which is my interpretation of the Calvinist view. Now, I'd like to bring up this, which I think I've just made my my YouTube profile picture as well, because I thought this looked pretty cool. Obviously, the Sacred Heart of Christ here. So this is from 1 John. This is 1 John 4:8. Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love. Now, I want to bring up that specific verse, which I've written out here, because it is my view as a Catholic, and after having read this verse and also spoken to other Catholics and priests and such, that an all-loving God that I certainly believe in would not predestine anybody, would not bring someone into being only to have them damned and have that decided before they've even done anything. As that seems to be something that an all-loving God would not be capable of if he was really all-loving. Anyway, that is all I have for the video, so thank you for watching. God bless, and subscribe, and please do let me know in the comments if I've gotten any of this wrong, as it was hastily researched, as I've had some stuff to do, some general life things. So do let me know, Calvinists, if I got any of that right or wrong, whether you agree with me or not, and what I need being corrected on, because I'm sure there's at least a couple of things in there. And have a blessed day.